Welcome to a video from the digitallifestyle.com. In this video, we'll be looking at wave shaping, wave folding on the Korg Multi. So on other synths, I'm well used to analog synthesis, FM for digital synthesis, but wave shaping, wave folding is not something I've really used before. I've played around with it on the Multi and found it can actually create some really interesting sounds without the need of things like the filter, which means you can then use the filter with other stuff and make some really complex and interesting sounds. I just played at the beginning there 3 patches that I made while sort of prepping for this video effectively of wave shaping type sounds. So I'm going to show you the wave shaping options here on the Multi. I'll be using the editor and the hardware to do this. So wave shaping is almost like getting a bit like FM almost. You're getting a couple of different waveforms and modifying one with the other, and you can produce some really interesting sounds on there, and you can get some very complex FM type sounds on there, or you can get some nice simple sounds. The Multi has got a whole load of wave shaping features in there, so I'm just going to show you a few things that you can do with it to create your own sound. So you'll find it in the oscillator section. You've got a wave shaper, and then you've got all these, it's just clipping off the top of the screen here, we've got all these different wave types that you can choose from, and then you can modify them, and you've got different controls over. So what I'm going to do for now is I just pick sine wave on there. So we've got a single sine wave on there, you can hear that, and I can show it on the screen there. So I've got a simple sine wave, and we can start doing some wave shaping with it. And one of the things you can use is the gain control. And so if I reduce it down, you get the pure sine wave, and as I increase that, you can start to see this sine wave is being modified by a second sine wave. So you can hear those harmonics there now. The other options we've got, you can also, on all these, you can adjust the width of them as well. So you can actually start to make pulse width type sounds. And of course, you've got an LFO for that as well. So you and if I were to say reduce that frequency down a bit, maybe if it's on free running, and already it's sounding to me that's like a filter bringing that brightness in, but of course it's not. It's that wave shaping. And I just put these back, so you can hear that. And we've also got the modifier, so we're modifying the sine with the sine, but you can change it to a triangle, which introduces more harmonics. So there's your basic triangle, and then you so straight away you've got some interesting things that you can do with it there. And let's have a look at another wave. There's another sine wave. Let's put the gain down to 0. Now let's go back to sine wave. And as I increase that gain, now you can hear it's almost sounding FM like. And then where you can put this a lot together is I could set the gain down at 0, but I could go to one of the envelopes. I'm not using the pitch envelope at the moment, so I'll go to my pitch envelope. So I go to my pitch envelope, and I'm going to set that quite high, and then go to my envelopes, my pitch, and I'm going to make it, let's do it from here. Let's get something like that. See, so straight away those are kind of the tones that you can hear if you've got a couple of sine waves and started creating some frequency modulation, maybe using cross mod, or if you've got a mod wave, or if you've got a DX7 or a DX100 with 2 oscillators, you can, these are the kind of areas that you're into. So I think that's really interesting that you can produce those kind of sounds on there, and it won't take much to to get some useful sounds from that. Let's put those envelopes back for now. So that's just using the sine ones. But then if you look on here, there's a whole selection of different waveforms. Here's another sine one. So you can hear that's got more aggressive on it now. And of course, if you start if I start messing with those envelopes a bit, so you got an interesting sound there. You could probably do something like that with FM on a DX, or maybe with some high pass filters and things like that on an analog synth. But yeah, you get some interesting effects. So that's using the sine wave ones. Pull it back. Let's have a see what other waveforms we've got. And of course, I'm doing sine to sine, but you could change that for triangle. And you can offset it as well. Maybe I should show you that. Let's just put that to 0 for now. You see how the offset affects it. You can see how it offsets the waveform up that amount. So that's actually that one sounds like a good one to modulate. So let's just on the generators, let's pick our pitch LFO will do for that. We're not using anything else. And of course, you still got your filter to play with. So another couple of interesting waveforms we've got here are the pickup ones, which Korg say are to simulate electromagnetic pickups like you would on an electric piano. So let's just put these back to 0. So let's have a look at that one. You can see it's got that kind of dip shape like that. And as it gets higher, you get more harmonics back to the sine wave. Pickup 2 has a bit more harmonics, but where you can make this interesting is again is using the envelopes. Let's just use that pitch envelope again. And I'm going to change this to sort of simulate that. So the initial attack is quite high, and then it'll soften. So there you can hear they got that. And that's pickup 1. And again, if we go back to the amp envelope and bring that to a more percussive style, you get that nice sort of percussive or pluck sound. So that's a nice effect where you get that nice sort of pluck sound on there. If we were to change that input to a triangle, you hear the overtones from the triangle coming through. Without it. So that's one of the demos I used at the beginning. I used the pickups to do that. Some more, I'll look at a couple of other ones. We've got these Tanner 2. So let's have a look at what that. Let's have a look what that does to the sine wave. So we get more back to a soft square wave. Maybe creating sort of Moog style lead sounds. You get a nice soft waveform on that. And then there's some others that's got more overtones in it. Somewhere on a, if you're using a square wave and the filter to soften your square wave, here you can soften it by just reducing the gain. There's some other additive waves as well. So these will produce some harmonics. You can hear the extra harmonics if I go through some of these. There's one with the square wave, one with triangle wave. So you've got some more harmonics on there. So these additive 1 and 3 actually sound more organ-like. And I actually haven't used any of these to create some organ sounds, but actually straight away I can hear that 1 plus 3 sounds organ-like. And let's have a listen. We've got 1 plus 4. Oh, there you go. It's sort of classic. Yeah, that's sounding good, isn't it? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have a go at creating an organ sound with that. We've even got a bit of click on there, haven't we, as well? So what we could do is we could copy that, paste that. A nice bit of phasing on that detune. We could perhaps detune it a little bit more. No effects on there. That's quite good, isn't it? I like that. I was going to copy it so that we could actually do is choose one with an extra harmonic. So we could do like 1 plus 5. So if I turn that one off. 1 plus 6, and then we add the 1 plus 4, so we've got the bass with the 4th and 6th. That sounds pretty good. And of course what you could do is go down to effects. So I've just put the CX3 rotary on there and set the speed to be the mod control. So really nice organ sound using 2 wave shaper oscillators. I'm going to keep that one. These are quite interesting. These Sine, especially the Sine 2-octave. I do like this one. So there's our sine wave. So that gain takes us up an octave. So you can apply some modulation to that and get some interesting effects as well. Another interesting set of these Digi ones. So Digi 1 to 5, they actually emulate, or what you end up with, the waveforms on the Yamaha TX81Z, TX81Z, and the other 4-operator, the DX11 is an example, the 4-operator FM synths from the 80s that allowed you to change the oscillator type. So like got DX100, that only has sine waves. The original DX7, like the TX7 there, only had sine waves, but DX11 and the TX81Z allowed you to change the sine waves, so you could do much different types of modulations. And these digital ones here match those on there. So if you get the digital one and set the gain fully up, that is modeled or very similar to waveform 2 of a TX or a DX11. So waveform 1 on the DX11 would be the sine. This is waveform 2. This is waveform 3. And this will be waveform 4. 5, and 7. So if you're doing a bit of FM and you want to emulate those DX11 sounds, well, this is the oscillators you can choose. So I could take oscillator 1 and oscillator 2 there. And let's just do a bit of cross modulation. And if we start to check the octaves up, we'll get some really digital FM sounds, very much like the DX11 type sound. And of course, you can use the envelopes to sort of dial it back and create more musical effects. So I could assign an envelope to the cross mod, say, and let's go to our envelopes, do the picture envelope. Let's set that. So that's a nice bit of percussion, and then play with the envelope, the amp envelope. There's a couple of other interesting ones as well. The diode ones affect, Korg say they do like soft clipping. So if I take diode 1 and you hear that nice sine wave, it's subtle, but you can hear it's just sort of clipping that off. And I suppose you could do an offset to make it more extreme. So until you, but that's sort of emulating sort of an analog diode. Diode 2 has more distortion in it. You can hear that on there. So you can just play around with those offsets to get the effects on there. And then the final of this batch, you've got these mixture ones, which have different sort of harmonic levels. And here you're really into DX, sort of FM territory. Oh yeah, I did want to mention these as well, fuzzy. So you've got a lot of noise on there, which you can dial back. Again, they sound very FM-y to me when you put FM up at the highest modulation rates. So the highest rates, you can actually hear the sine wave with a bit of noise. And as you come down lower, you get very digital. And it wouldn't take much to put a little modulation on there. Just quite. I suppose the best one to be would be another envelope. And let's if I reduce that down a bit. And then you can start layer these up. turn the stereo filter mode on. Let's really go for it. So you've got very digital and not really what you expect from multi-poly. I'm used to creating some nice warm analog sounds, and that adds that digitalness. But of course, what you then can do is put some filter on it. So pretty quickly created a nice, really big sound on that. And we could introduce some pitch modulation on the tuning to create more beating sound and that kind of thing. I quite like that one. Then the other batch that's worth mentioning on here as well, I was going to go to a nice simple performance for this one, is all these from Sine and Saw down to Whirly are from the O1W, the successor to the Korg M1. That had wave shaping in it, so you could pass an oscillator, one of the PCM oscillators, through a sample and put it through and modulate it with this. Here you're not modulating a sample. Here you're modulating one of those waveforms. Let's say the Reso one. And yeah, you can see, without any modulation, you can hear that buzzing on it. And there's a ton of these you can play with. And of course, you can start cross-modding and ring-modding all those together. So check those out. They're worth playing with. And the other one is the Berkeley one, which is the classic sort of folder wave shape on it as well. And you can see you've got the sine wave, and then you can hear the harmonics being introduced. And if I was to change that to triangle, you'd see the triangle. Almost sounds like a sync lead, a sync on there as well. And I haven't looked at pulse width particularly. So again, you can create some interesting sounds. So these wavefolders seem like a way of creating lots of harmonics, and you can dial them back by reducing that gain, how you would do a filter. So you can start out with loads of harmonics, and then you use the gain to reduce the harmonics to make them a bit more musical, perhaps in the way you would use a buzzy oscillator, and then use a filter to bring that back down again. Of course, the great thing about the multipoly, you can route all these oscillators through multiple filters as well, and you've got the effects and the ring mod and syncing. So there's a whole range of stuff you can do then. But that's what I wanted to show you in this video. Take a look at wave folding and wave shaping on the multipoly. It's a really good example of things you can do with it that you probably couldn't do on many other analog modeling synths. So thanks for watching this video. If you've got suggestions for other things I can do on the multipoly, or you've got things that I missed on this one and you want me to point out, let me know. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.